understanding kind of where you were before the academy, kind of where you've gotten to since, and kind of what that experience has been like.
Yeah. So before I was definitely I wasn't budgeting. I was like drowning in debt. Kind of living like paycheck to paycheck and I didn't really have like a plan. I kept saying I was gonna like make changes or improvements and then I just like wouldn't. Like I would
Yep.
kind of start to and then it would kind of dissolve.
What was holding you back
Um
with that initially?
what?
What was holding you back when you committed, but then you didn't commit? So what was that thing holding you back?
I think I would do like either like a balance transfer or something like that, and then kind of have like false hope that like things were better, kind of, and like just kind of like pretending like things were okay.
Yep.
Um, and it, and I would be like, oh, well, I'm not paying interest, and then that would kind of come up, and I didn't really have a plan to pay it off in the time I needed.
Yep.
And then I think just kind of ignoring and like pretending like everything was fine, or um the idea that like I was better, like I was making maybe like well more wealth than I really was, like kind of that perception of
Sure.
wanting like having things to like act like I guess the kind of like things like I did have the money to do this or whatever, but in reality I have all this debt that's not being seen and I really don't, so I shouldn't be spending
Yeah.
that. Um and so I feel like since joining there's been like a huge mindset shift of like um just everything is like really changed. I feel like I have a plan, still have debt that we're working towards, but I just like
Sure.
kind of went through all the numbers to see. And in credit card debt, we've paid down 17,000 since
Jeez.
being in, and
That's
then
incredible.
so like it's just been, and this month was less because obviously I just had this baby, so I'm not working as much.
Sure.
But that'll pick back up soon again, I know. So like I never would have done that had I not had a plan and had this. And then my mindset around things, it's like, do I really need this? Is this a priority? And then I'm just budgeting for the things that are coming up as we need. And as babies are expensive, but I feel like I haven't racked up more debt. Like when we had our first
Good.
one, we were just kind of like, oh, well, we need this, but then not making changes in other areas. So it's
Yeah.
also allowed me to kind of like play with those numbers and see, and then realize, okay, like I need to make adjustments here so that we can afford these other things.
What about so I know there's been a ton of wins, obviously you posted and stuff along the way. What's been like the biggest transformation? Obviously mindset's a huge piece of it. What about like your overall net worth or something significant that really sticks out to you?
So, well, net worth, we're still in the negative, but it's still, I think it was like at like 105 and now it's at like 75
So
in
you've
the
increased
negative.
like what is that for 30,000 $30,000 net worth?
Yeah, yeah.
That's incredible. That's awesome.
So
That's think about that. How long has that been? Is that 6 months on the
6 months.
dot?
Yeah, pretty much. Well, yeah, maybe like a couple weeks over, but
So let's do 60 times two, or wait, yeah, no, sorry, 30 times two would be 60,000 a year. Essentially, you're on pace at this current pace. You know what I mean?
yeah.
60,000. That's 16 years to become millionaires. And so like I often talk about people like, they think it's so like far out of the picture, and it's really not. Like it's gonna take a decade. It's almost gonna always take a decade. You add 5, 6 years on top of that, not to mention like where you guys are headed. Like that's the first step. The first step's always the hardest, I think. It's like
Mhm.
getting your
Yeah.
mindset right, doing this. It catches steam. It speeds this process up to the point where you guys will be like way faster than 16 years, in my opinion, guarantee it. But like that first month or that first like let's call it 6 months, it's the hardest time for sure. And you've already increased 30,000. So imagine that doing that over and over and over and over. That's a 16-year trajectory, assuming you started at $0 from a
Mhm.
net worth perspective to become millionaires. That's fantastic. So congratulations to you
Thanks.
guys.
Yeah, and I
Well,
figure we won't have all that interest too that we're paying on, like eventually, and
exactly. So
so
there's a
that'll.
there's a compounding effect. You won't have the debt.
Mhm.
You won't have any of the debt at all. You'll also get more strategic. You'll get better at the process. You'll get better at all this stuff. You'll become more intentional. All those types of things happen because, like I said, the hardest thing is just to start. What in the beginning was one of those things you had to like overcome from like trusting the process? Obviously, this is like a guy online per se, right? So like, what was that like skepticism? How were you able to get over that? And then what moved you
Um,
forward?
yeah, so I was definitely like kind of going back and forth for a while. I'd followed you for a little bit and then I was kind of nervous, but I was like, I know I need a change. And then we had signed up and I just had a lot of anxiety because I was like, well, I just, went more like I had put it on a card, which
Sure.
I didn't want to do. But it's obviously paid off.
Yep.
And then I did my look back and I remember I had like so much anxiety about like, oh my God, like I've been,
That gets people.
yeah. That first month was like a roller coaster. And then after like once we had our meeting, I felt like really confident about like where I was headed. And then just with the lessons and then like learning, even like the investments, like the money that we did have in our 401k, like I know the market's been good, but even changing to the investments has been like a huge win because they were in like really bad ones that they had us in automatically. And
What
fees
kind of
were
funds were
high.
you in? Were there high expense ratios?
Yeah, really high expense. I was saying over 5% in fees in mine.
Holy,
Like
like
when I
all
added
in?
everything up together. So
That's actually criminal in my opinion. Like I don't it's wrong that they even those companies are able to do that. Like that's so messed up. 5%, that's crazy.
yeah, it was Empower Retirement.
Oh,
So they had me like automatically like they were managing it. And then when I
yeah.
called them, she was like telling me how good it was doing. And I was like, no, it's not because I'm paying you in
Of
fees.
course, this is doing so good, but you're paying us 5% as well.
Yeah. So I was like, no, I want to take it over. They really put up a fight, but it worked. And then I switched over my husband's too to everything. His was better with Fidelity. So,
Good.
but even still, we got his fees like way down. So,
What would you tell somebody that came into the pro or that's sitting on the sideline right now? They're like, "Hey, I need this fixed. I need to fix my situation, but like I'm nervous that this is the right solution, that this is going to help me." All those types of nervous, basically talking to your former self.
definitely trust the process. And like just you definitely put into it, I think, like, or you get out of it what you put into it. And so like just stay consistent, trust the process, and like stay the course because I think it definitely pays off if you do that.
Yeah.
Um,
I
yeah.
always tell people it's kind of like a trainer at the gym. Like I can't come into your life and literally do everything for you, but I can show you exactly what to do.
Mhm.
And as long as you take those steps, like you're gonna get success. Like it's very straightforward, it's very direct, but you have to show up. You know what I mean? But you've shown up every step of the way. Obviously, you've been one of the leaders in the group. In fact, on participation, being part of the group, talking, all this kind of thing. So it's not a shock that you've increased your net worth $30,000 in 6 months. That's incredible. What are your plans going forward? What do you want to? What are some of your big goals that you want to knock off?
Obviously debt, finish paying off debt. I definitely want to join the 7-figure club. I'd met with Tom about it and joined, and he was like, maybe wait till you kind of get settled with the baby and pay
Yeah,
off
totally
some
agree.
debt. Um, because I'm definitely ready to do it, but I think he made some good points. So definitely planning on doing that sometime this year. And then once all that debt is paid off, we're gonna increase like mortgage, but I wanna kind of get my side business going a little bit more.
Side
And
business, that would be fun for Seven Figure Club. What is it specifically?
so right now I do like counseling and clinical supervision, like on the
Yep.
side. I have to stay at my job full time for at least another just under 2 years because of that public service loan forgiveness. Um, so I started just increasing kind of like a side hustle with that. And so that's been bringing in some money. But I'd like to do something on like a larger scale so that I'm not working eventually just dollars for hours. Because
Yep.
right now it's like
Yep.
I see one client, I get paid, I see one supervision. So I'm trying to think like bigger scale. And then obviously investing more. We'd like to do real estate, stuff like that. So I
That's
definitely have a lot of big
literally
goals.
right on target with the Seven Figure Club. If you're
Mhm.
looking for the real estate stuff, the syndications are an option. Business building's a big thing we've been talking about with the group as well. So like those things are right up our alley, obviously for
Mhm.
that from that side of things. So I'm excited. That's gonna be fun. But do it when the time's right, obviously, right? So you don't want to rush it. You don't want to come at the wrong time. I'm glad Tom talked to you about that as well.
Yeah, it was helpful because I was like ready to sign up, and he's like, well, maybe like, having a baby, like you're still really in this debt payoff right now. So like I'd hate for you to sit
Totally
through
agree.
the
Yep.
meetings and then be like, oh, I can't do
I always
anything.
say like one step at a time. Like before
Yeah.
we get to like the big stuff, let's make sure we do the fundamentals right. Let's get those all taken care of, check the box. New babies, obviously a lot too.
Yeah.
I know from experience a little bit.
Right. I know I'm
Uh,
like he's really putting a damper in my like work schedule.
yeah, yeah, yeah. What is what else can we help you with?
I'm not sure. I mean, I think I think like I definitely just I'm trying to stay focused on some of that debt payoff and just kind of stay consistent and stay active. I love the like now that we have like lifelong like access because I feel like that'll help me because I feel like the more engaged I am too, the more it helps me stay accountable. And
100%.
so I still need to post my like before and after. So I'm gonna try to do that this week. But no, I just feel like this has been probably like the best thing I've done and like the best investment I made for myself because and my family because it's completely changed how I look at everything and like I'm finally seeing like the light. And so hopefully
Love it.
of this year, I'll be debt free minus that loan with the
Love
forgiveness
it.
and then the mortgage.
Yeah, and of course, as you know, like life's gonna happen to you along the way, and like that's
Mhm.
why the lifetime access piece is so critical because, like you said, it keeps you accountable. We had a life event on when was that? Yesterday. Ambulance showed up at our house Monday morning,
S-
seizure, the worst, right? But if we let
so
that stuff
hard.
derail us, and you don't have the power of community, like it's gonna derail you. So like
Yeah.
just know that we're always here for you for that particular reason. And like you can always lean on the group, obviously, at any point in time, so that you're in a good position. So like super proud of you, Gail. Any last words you wanna say or any last words,
I don't think so. I
for
just
additional
can't like
help?
say thank you enough. I just feel like this has been you and Tom have been great and everyone. I'm excited for Seven Figure Club. I'm like trying not to have too much FOMO as I see the posts.
We had a really good deal. Actually, we have a deal right now. It's about to close. I think the 25th is the last date for investing in it, but it's like a $50,000 minimum. Really 25,000. But it's a really good syndication deal. I'm not in the market right now, but it's a good deal to invest in for sure. But there'll be plenty down the road, so no
That's
FOMO,
no.
no rush.
And I figure with debt pay down, I'm like, we won't have investment, like unless I kind of changed anyway. And so my income's going down a little bit with being off with him.
Yep.
So but I
How's
think
he
it's
doing so far?
good. He's
Good.
finally starting to sleep a little bit more. I got like 2 3 hour stretches last night. I was like, pumped.
Are you guys breastfeeding too? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. That's my wife. I don't know how you guys do it every night. Like it's not as hard on the guy, I can tell you that.
No, for sure. But I'm like, there's some nights I'm like, oh my, I'm like nodding out. Like, I'm like, oh my God, I need to like get up. So 3 hours, I was like, I feel good. Cause he was waking up like every hour, like last
Yeah.
week. And I was like,
Cluster,
oh
was it
my God.
cluster feeding?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's never fun.
No, especially like I don't mind if it's during the day, but like, can we not do it at 2 a.m.?
Yeah,
So
exactly. Ellie wakes up wide-eyed, ready to play at 3 a.m. Aaron's like, no, this is not the right time.
back to sleep. Yeah, I know. That's what I'm like trying to go to bed and he last night and he's like wide awake. I'm like, right now, really?
That's
So
funny. Well, anyways, it's awesome catching up. Let me know, let Tom know, any of us, whatever,
yeah.
Angel, if you need anything. And just keep doing your thing. And
Yeah.
then calls, Seven Figure Club when the time comes, you'll be there, you'll be ready, and we'll get
Yeah.
we'll get moving.
Yeah. I'm excited for that. So
Cool.